Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we're going to be taking a look over here at the crypto charts, including the Ripple XRP price chart and the Bitcoin price chart. Obviously, we have a lot going on in the news in the world today. Yesterday was the United States presidential election. We still do not have a decision on who won the election at this point. I know that about half of the people who listen to my channel are from the United States, the other half from the other side of the world. So I've really been just trying to present this information in a non-biased opinion. That's one thing I really wanted to do when it came to this election stuff, is to be as non-biased as possible. I kind of like pre-planned that before coming into today, the day after election day, that regardless of who won, that I would maintain the same type of analytical approach to it. So that's what I'm going to do. When we talk today and we talk about this election, I'm going to bring it to you in a completely analytical standpoint. Whether or not that you agree with that or you disagree with it, I'm just going to try to present the facts the way that they are. And then we can try to determine how does that impact the crypto market. Just based on what I've seen in the cryptocurrency market, my belief is that most people actually lean Republican, or at least in the favor of Donald Trump, is what I've noticed. So I realize right now it's kind of actually a difficult time, because it does appear that Joe Biden is starting to take the lead a little bit. Now, for people from the other side of the world, or people maybe in the United States who don't have an understanding of what's happening and why Biden is actually catching up to Donald Trump, is in this election, due to C-19, we were doing a lot of mail-in ballots this election. In some states, you were allowed to mail your mail-in ballot as late as yesterday, so long as it got postmarked as yesterday and arrives within 3 days after election day, that vote counts. Statistically speaking, it is showing that more people voted in favor of Joe Biden who casted mail-in ballots. So what you saw in the early runnings of this race, when stats started getting posted on how this election was going, is you saw early reporting of a lot of the mail-in ballots that have already come in, or the early voting that had already been done. Next, we saw a lot of the reporting of what people voted for yesterday. It's clearly obvious that people who voted yesterday overwhelmingly voted in favor of Donald Trump yesterday. However, with the mail-in ballots and the early voting, we noticed that the country primarily voted for Joe Biden. So why are we suddenly seeing that Joe Biden is starting to catch up now and take the lead in some critical states, and it's actually looking likely that he is going to win the electoral count? Most of the mail-in ballots were counted prior to election day. However, many of these large metropolitan areas were not able to count all of them and report all of them prior to the election. So we're seeing a lot of the mail-in ballots now getting reported. Think about it this way. You're a large county, you get millions of ballots that come in the mail, you're able to get through half of them, you report half, then you've got to report everything that happens on election day. Once all that stuff's reported, you get back to working on the mail-in ballots again. So what happens is all of these mail-in ballots that are coming in here at the end are favoring Joe Biden. So we're watching Joe Biden start to take the lead again. At this point, it's too close to call to figure out who's going to win this election. But the reason why you're seeing Joe Biden come back is because of all the mail-in ballots that were not able to get counted prior to election day, and that some states allowed people to send mail-in ballots as late as election day, so long as it arrives within 3 days after the election date. So there's still mail-in ballots that are coming in that have been approved by the Supreme Courts of their jurisdictions or their states, and this will likely continue for a couple of days. The big question is, will we end up going to court? Will this take longer than it should be? Will one side concede defeat while the other one claims victory? We have no idea what will happen there. But right now, things are trending overwhelmingly that Joe Biden may win this presidency. Here is the Fox News Democracy 2020 election probability. If Joe Biden does win Michigan, does win Nevada, and does win Wisconsin, he has enough electoral votes to become the president. If we look over at the Vegas odds as well, they have updated this morning with Joe Biden being the favorite to win the presidency. The key states here are going to be Michigan, which he's a big favorite in Michigan to win, Nevada, big favorite to win in Nevada, and Wisconsin, a big favorite to win in Wisconsin. So winning Wisconsin, Nevada, and Michigan locks him in the electoral votes that he needs to become president, and he is favored to do so. Hence, that is represented here on the Vegas odds. Now, Vegas odds are not always accurate. If we take a look at how the last 24 hours have gone for the Vegas odds, you could see that Trump was the underdog at one point, with Biden being the favorite. Then in the middle of the night, Trump was the clear, huge favorite, with Biden being the massive underdog. And then as the morning has progressed, you can see that Trump is back to being the underdog, with Biden being the favorite. We'll see how that stuff plays out. So at this time, obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty on what's going to happen. Maybe we'll get some more clarity throughout the rest of the day. If there is a contested election, we'll see how that goes. I'm uncertain of what that would really mean for the crypto market. But I try to, I thought, man, whatever way this thing starts to go, or it's starting to trend towards that's what it's going to be, how am I going to come on here and try to provide some optimism for people on the opposite side? So let's say that Joe Biden does actually win this election. I saw this posted yesterday on Twitter from Sir Gordon Gecko, and well, maybe that's not what he calls himself anymore, but there we go. Sir Gordon Gecko at Gordon Gecko 369. He had posted that a Trump win will loosen crypto regulations and clarity. They are about deregulation. Bullish. And you can see that David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple, responded and said, "Have you seen this over the last 3 years?" And that's, you can draw your own conclusions of what he means by that. Does he actually mean that Biden would actually provide more help for deregulation and loosen crypto regulations, or is he merely just stating that Trump has done nothing to help deregulate crypto? Or provide regulations for cryptocurrencies to give clarity during his time in office. So that's an interesting thing to see right there out of David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple. And maybe if Biden does win, that will provide some more regulation and some more clarity. Because the way I interpret that right now is he is saying that has not happened. There has been no regulations or clarity or deregulation out of the Trump administration. And maybe that's a positive thing if Biden does win the presidency. One thing is for certain is that we don't know the answer right now. And here I'm back on Fox News again, and they're showing the map. If Biden does take Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan, which he is leading in all of these states currently, that would essentially give him enough electoral votes to win the presidency. So if you're not from the United States, you need to understand how that works. We don't actually base our election off of a popular vote, which I know sounds crazy, but that's not how we do it. Currently, Joe Biden does have the popular vote. I think it's at around 2.5 million. He has 2.5 million more votes than Donald Trump, but we actually based our voting off of electoral votes. And each state, so we have 50 states in our country, and each state has a specific amount of electoral votes. Whoever wins the popular vote in each state, that candidate gets all of the electoral votes from that state. So as you can see, Joe Biden has gotten 55 from California. As you can tell, he did not actually win all of the votes, right? But he does get all of the electorals. He's won 65% to 33%, yet due to a popular vote and electoral system that we have in each state, he gets all of the electoral votes. Same thing goes for Florida. You can see that Trump outnumbered him in the popular vote for Florida, and due to that, he gets all the electoral votes from Florida. Whoever gets 270 is the winner. So if Biden does take Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan, which he's currently leading in, and there are more absentee and voting by mail ballots that are coming in right now, it does appear that Joe Biden will have enough to cross the 270 needed to win. Again, that is just what's going on currently. There's still all day for more votes to come in. Any assumptions that can be made on how those states will end is just assumptions. We have no idea. At least not people like you and me. Whenever I talk about politics on here, I always like to reiterate that I don't really have a horse in the race. I've seen too many things on these charts to tell me that both parties know exactly what's going on. And it's a lot of horse and pony show for us that we get to see a lot of these things. So for me, it doesn't even matter who actually ends up winning. When we tie it back into crypto, just looking at Bitcoin, right? We can go back and look, and here's when the Democrats held office, here's when Republicans held office or held the presidency, right? You can see this is Bitcoin going up 1.5 million %. Here's Republicans going up 1.5 thousand. I don't draw any conclusions by those percentages. Bitcoin was young. It went up a lot because it was so young. I don't think we're going to see these types of percentages ever again in our lifetimes in this asset class. So I'm not discounting this. What I'm trying to prove is that our assets went up regardless of who was the presidency. Because the reality is the dollar just keeps going lower. And regardless of who does win this thing, that dollar is going to come down even more. And that's going to be very bullish for cryptocurrencies. Because in the end, this bad boy is going to keep on going. So we'll see how the coming days play out. We can see that the Dow Jones is up over 600 points this morning, with most of the stock market green. Cryptocurrencies still holding their same positions, with Bitcoin still up there near 14,000. It did close yesterday's candle above 14,000, which was the first time that has happened since way back over here. So we closed above the June high and above 14,000. Big deal with how many times we've talked about that 13,880. Again, a daily candle close up there isn't a big deal to me. It's more about that monthly candle closing above there. But that was interesting to see Bitcoin close the day yesterday above 14,000, sitting at about 13,900 right now. XRP still sitting down here in this level, still not taking out the lows, but still just hanging out near the bottom while we all patiently wait. So, like I've said, I've tried to remain as neutral in all of this. Don't really have a dog in the fight because I see too much on these charts. It's whatever to me. I know a lot of people are very emotional one way or the other. It's like a big sports game to them. It's critical. It's life or death for them on who wins these things. I just know no matter who wins, no matter what side you're on, it's going to be okay. Whether or not Trump wins and you're a Biden supporter, or if Biden wins and you're a Trump supporter, in the end, we're all going to be okay. And in the end, that money printer is going to keep on printing. And it does look likely that Biden has taken the lead. And if you need some optimism on how to feel about that, I think David Schwartz might be giving you a little bit of a clue right here. So, okay, we'll start wrapping this thing up. If I sounded really upbeat or if I sounded really down, I was doing my absolute best to remain neutral, because I just know how emotional people can get for one candidate or the other. It becomes very serious for them, and I totally get it. I totally understand how that goes. I've been there. I'm not really like that anymore, but I do know what that's like, and I wanted to really just be respectful of everybody in this video, to try to keep this as analytical, stick to the facts and what we do know, and try to present just like an analytical type video about the current state of where we're at. And then also show you here in this video that regardless of who ends up winning the election, we've noticed that whether it's Democrats, whether it's Republicans, cryptocurrency tends to benefit from both, because the money printer keeps on printing, the dollar keeps getting devalued, and debt just keeps getting stacked on top of itself. So just try to remember that. And I know it's going to be a tough couple of days for a lot of people. Everybody's going to be on their toes on which way this thing is going to go. If you need something to distract yourself with, of course, you could check out bcbacker.com. On here, there's 19 videos. There's 4.5 hours of content. A deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs that we've seen, even under a Democrat or under a Republican, and tie in all of the altcoin cycles and how all of that has played out with the timing of them, and then how I plan to use all that information, and I present my exit plans in here. There's a lot of stuff in there for, tools, charting and indicators, and a downloadable spreadsheet, managing emotions, and a lot of that kind of stuff that is in here. And I really tried to just jam it packed full of information. So check that out on bcbacker.com. Follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And I hope that you have a good day. I know it's a kind of a tough day for a lot of people, but we'll all get through this. And in the end, whatever will be, will be. And then we just, we accept that, and then we move on and we build on top of that. So we'll see what happens when this thing completely wraps itself up. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.